Hey there everyone, welcome back to GameBot, and my name is Dave, and today we are reviewing a series of games from Bizarre Games, and it's called The Silver Line. Let's do it. So as a disclaimer, this is a review copy, as are the other ones that we will be reviewing later on today. Now this is the base set. I think it's called Silver Amulet, but this is going to be a theme. Now this is from the same creators of Werewolf, or One Night Werewolf more of. So the game theme is all about werewolves coming to your village and trying not to let that happen. Some villagers antagonize those werewolves a little more than others, so you want low numbers. Now this game is fashioned from an older game called Cabo, but Silver is to Cabo like Mancala is to Five Tribes. It's just a jump off mechanism, but then you really get into the meat and potatoes when you add special powers, and it really expands the game. So this is the base set of Silver. Let me show you what comes in the box, show you how to play the initial game, then I'll give it a grade, and then I'll tell you what I think. Let's go. Alright, so this is what comes in the box of Silver, and it's all cards and this kind of Celtic knot right here, and of course the scoring sheet and introductional cards. But there are going to be expansions, and they're already setting you up here so you can separate them in the box, which is pretty cool, and it even has a little spot where you can put this little Celtic knot piece. And it is actual metal, but it's probably pewter, but it's sturdy enough. And the cards aren't linen finish, which does knock it down a point for me, but they are rounded edges. Though the art is stellar. It's kind of this combination of 3D art or like oil paint. She is just drawn so well and perfectly. It's stunning almost. I don't know how to really put my finger on how to describe it, but it's such a cool style. So even though they're not linen finish, at least the art's really cool. There are various cards from 0 to 13, and of course you have the scoring sheet. Now let me show you actually how to play this game. Let's go. Okay, so this is a game set up for 2 players. Now you deal out the same amount of cards that you would for 4 players, even if you have fewer than 4 players. So the name of the game, like I said, is try to get the fewest amount of werewolves. But basically you're trying to get the lowest score, kind of like golf. Now how you do that is by trying to get less cards in your village, or get the lowest number if you have cards in your village. And as you can see, there are different villagers. The number up here is how many werewolves they attract. So you want to try to get down to 0. How are you doing that? Well, you're going to do one of 3 actions on your turn. You're either going to take a card from the deck, take a card from the discard pile, or call for a vote. Now in Silver, the base game, whenever you take a card, it's only going to be affecting your village unless it says otherwise on the card. But when you take it, you're going to be adding it to your village somehow. Now before you start, you do get to look at 2 of your cards down in front of you, so you can get an idea of what you're working with here. But then once you place them back down, you can no longer look at your village or anybody else's village unless the cards tell you so. Alright, so there are 2 different things that the cards can do. They can either be discarded or put in your village. Now the powers are down here. If they have like a flip and arrow here, that means if you discard it, it does a power. Now that is for all the cards 5 and up. Now for the cards 4 and down, it says when face up. That means if they're face up in your village or just face up somewhere, they'll tell you what to do. Sorry about that, camera. Now on my turn, let's say I'm going to take a card from the deck. I look at it here and I say, I'm either going to put it in my village here and exchange it with a card or cards, or I'm going to discard it and optionally use the power if able. So let's say I wanted to put this 4 in my village here. I can choose 1 card to exchange it with, or if I know that I have a pair or more than a pair of the same number, I can select those cards and say I'm exchanging it for this 1 card that I just drew. I flip them over. If they match, woohoo! I just discard them, and then I put my card, filling in any gaps if I need to. Otherwise, if I were to flip 2 cards that didn't match, I would have to place the card that I drew to my village and flip the cards back over. Though I do get a little bit of knowledge,
I suffer the consequence. That's what you're doing when you draw a card from the actual deck. If you draw it from the discard pile, it has to stay face up when you place it in your village if you exchange it, but the exchange applies just like the one that we told you about with the deck. Now, the last thing you can do on your turn is call for a vote. If you have 4 or fewer cards, you can call for a vote, and if you think you have the lowest score among the table, then you want to do that. Everyone will get one more turn, and when it comes back to you, you flip over your cards and see if you are correct. Right here, I would have had 11, 14, 15, 16, 17 points. If I think 17 is the lowest out of the table in this 2-player game, well, I would have done that, and then I would have gotten 0 points. Though if I called the vote and I didn't get the lowest score, I would get all the points on the cards plus 10. And everyone else who didn't call for the vote would get the score that is on their cards. Now, this amulet comes into play. If I were to call the vote and successfully get the lowest score, I get the amulet for my next round, because you play round after round. And this continues over 4 rounds. And then once you add up your score, that's the first round, and you do it over 4 rounds. Now, if you successfully call the vote, you get this amulet. In the next round, you can protect one of your cards from moving or being looked at or being flipped or messed around with by anyone, including yourself. It also is good for breaking ties for anything that might happen in the game. And so that's essentially what you're doing one of those 3 actions. Let's take a closer look at some of the cards. So number 12 here is steal one of your opponent's cards and give one of your cards view your new card. Now 13 is a doppelganger. It becomes one of the other cards here. The vampires just take 1 card from the discard pile, and they're pretty basic things. Basically, they're just manipulating some of the cards ever so slightly, and sometimes letting you view some of the cards here. You can view any cards, so maybe you want to view somebody else's card, or maybe you want to view the top card of the deck. Who knows? It says any card. This one says opponent, so some of the cards are more specific. And again, when you discard these cards here that have the effect, that's when they go off. Now the ones here that say face up, draw 1 extra card from your deck, and that is when the card is in your village, you'll be able to draw more cards. This one here is a bodyguard. He kind of works like the amulet. No one can basically mess around with him or another card in your village. She is my favorite card, just illustration and her power. View 1 of your face down cards on your turn, so you can continue to try to figure out what's going on. And 1 is pretty easy. Now, so 0 here would end the round, in addition to calling the vote, or if the deck runs out, or if there are 2 zeros faced up in anybody's village, that ends the round as well. So those are the cards. You continue to play that until you see who has the least amount of werewolves after 4 rounds, which means they got eaten less. They are the winner. Now let me give this game a grade and tell you what I think. Let's go. So that is how you play Silver. Now, what do I think of this game? Well, I'm going to give it a grade, and it gets a 76, which gets the GameVine Play It Award, which is good. I like this game, and I only played it at max at 3. I have not played it at 4, but mainly I played it a 2-player game, and it's really good as a 2-player game. A little bit of the score might be weighing on the fact that it's biased towards not being good at memory. I am not really good at memory games. My memory is terrible. So normally I would be adverse to a game that has a lot of memory to it, but this game made it fun for me. And the base game here, it has some basic powers. Now I'm going to get a little bit into the future. The other expansions do kind of change this up and make it a little bit juicier, but this one right here is fair. And I would say if you're going to start, I would get the base set to start off with. So the fact that this game can take memory, which I'm terrible at, and make it fun for me is a big claim. So it really did earn the GameVine Play It Awards. It's not something that's gonna blow your mind, it's not grandiose, and the replayability here, it can vary, but right now with just the base set, it's not crazy replayable, but it is a fun little game, and I like that they took the theme from a lot of their One Night Werewolf game and kind of injected it in this, but it's its own thing. So I am recommending this to anybody who likes kind of a aspect of bluffing and or memory. This is going to be a home run for you. So thank you so much again, Vizier Games, for supplying us with this review copy. We couldn't have done this review without you. Thank you so much, Vine Nation, for stopping on by. If you haven't already, click like and subscribe. Until the next time that I see ya, have a great rest of your day and a great time with all you play. Join me in the next video where we look at Silver Bullet. Take care, everybody. Bye. Vine Nation, we love making content here for you on the channel, and we're almost at 10,000 subscribers, so subscribe now and help us out. This video right here, I think you'll like. This video right here, YouTube thinks you'll like. Or you can just sit here and watch me dance the dinosaur for a little bit longer. You can visit us at our social media outlets, and we're going to be improving our Patreon here soon. That's all for today. Miko, it's time to go. Good girl, Miko.